Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down one interesting research paper every day. Today, we're diving into a topic that almost everyone has a strong opinion about: healthcare administration.
Oh, you mean the endless forms, the hold music, the faxes? Yes, I have some opinions. It can feel like a full-time job just managing your own healthcare. The paper we're looking at today calls the U.S. healthcare system an administrative nightmare, which feels pretty accurate.
Exactly. And one of the biggest parts of that nightmare is something called prior authorization. In simple terms, this is when your doctor has to get permission from your insurance company before they can give you a specific treatment, medication, or test.
Right. It's the doctor saying, I think my patient needs this, and the insurance company saying, hold on, let us check our giant rulebook to see if we agree and if we're going to pay for it. It causes huge delays and is a massive source of frustration for doctors and patients alike.
Well, what if AI could fix it? What if you had a super smart AI agent that could handle all that paperwork? It could read the patient's chart, find the right insurance policies, fill out all the forms, and submit them. That's the dream, right?
That sounds amazing, but it also sounds incredibly complicated. These aren't simple tasks. There are thousands of rules, and a mistake could mean a patient doesn't get the care they need. How would you even know if an AI was good enough for the job?
That is the exact question this paper tries to answer. The researchers from a whole host of universities and AI labs created something they call XBench. The bench here is short for benchmark.
Okay, so what's a benchmark in the world of AI?
Think of it like a standardized test or a really intense obstacle course for AI models. It's a way to put different AIs through the same set of challenges to see who performs best. But XBench isn't just any obstacle course. It's a hyper-realistic simulation of the healthcare administration world. So what makes it so realistic? First, it's not just one program. The researchers built a mini-universe of 20 different interconnected healthcare software applications. The AI has to learn how to use all these different apps, just like a human employee would.
Okay, that sounds tricky.
It gets trickier. They gave the AI a massive rulebook, a managed care operations handbook with over 1,200 documents full of medical guidelines, insurance policies, and operational rules. The AI can't just guess. It has to constantly look things up and make sure its decisions are grounded in these dense policies. The paper calls this policy density.
Wow, so it has to do its homework. What else?
The tasks also require what the paper calls multi-role composition. A single case might start with the AI acting as an intake clerk. Then it has to switch hats and become a nurse to review the clinical details. Then it might need to become a medical director to make a final call. It's playing multiple roles in a single workflow.
And if it makes a mistake at one step, the whole thing is messed up.
Precisely. And the final piece is that it has to interact with others. Some steps require the AI to simulate a phone call with the doctor to discuss a case, or to call a patient to check in on them. It's not just clicking buttons, it's communicating.
So this XBench thing is basically the final exam for any AI that claims it can handle healthcare admin. So they built this incredibly difficult test, and then they made all the top AI models take it, right?
You got it. They tested 30 different configurations of the big names: GPT models from OpenAI, Claude models from Anthropic, Gemini from Google, and others. They gave them a set of tasks like submitting a prior authorization, reviewing a claim, or managing a patient's care plan.
Okay, the moment of truth. How did they do? Did AI solve healthcare?
Not even close. The results were pretty shocking, actually. The best performing AI agent, a combination of Anthropic's models, only managed to successfully complete the tasks 28% of the time.
28%? That's a failing grade in any school, and that was the best one?
That was the best one. Most were much lower, and it gets worse. To test for reliability, they checked if an AI could pass the same task 3 times in a row. No agent could reliably pass more than 20% of the tasks. They were inconsistent.
That's terrifying. You can't have an AI that gets it right sometimes and completely fails other times when a patient's health is involved.
Hold on, because the most jaw-dropping result is what they called the arena test. They set up a realistic scenario with 2 AI agents, one playing the role of the doctor's office submitting the request, and the other playing the role of the insurance company reviewing it.
The full end-to-end workflow.
Exactly. When the doctor's office agent was working alone, it had a success rate of about 30%. But when they paired it with the insurance company agent, where they had to communicate and work together, the success rate for the entire process dropped to 0%.
0, as in not a single task was completed successfully from start to finish.
0. They just couldn't handle the handoffs and interactions. They would get stuck, make critical errors, or just fail to complete the process.
So why are they failing so badly? Did the researchers figure that out?
They did. They analyzed thousands of failed attempts. The biggest problem was what they call clinical reasoning. The AIs would look at the right information but make the wrong medical or procedural judgment. The second biggest reason was workflow completion. They would just stop. They'd get partway through a multi-step process and never finish it. And the third reason was policy compliance. They would look up a rule in that giant handbook and then completely misread or misapply it.
It sounds like they have the abilities of a very confident but very distractible intern who doesn't like to read instructions carefully.
That's a great way to put it. In another test, they gave an AI 25 cases at once, like a real work queue. Instead of focusing and finishing one case at a time, the AIs would open a bunch of them, do a little work on each, and then fail to actually complete most of them by the end.
So what's the big takeaway here? Is the idea of using AI in healthcare a total bust?
Not necessarily. What this paper shows is that we are still in the very, very early days. The simple chatbot-style tasks we see AIs do well don't translate to these complex, long-term, high-stakes professional workflows. There's a huge gap between current AI capabilities and what's needed for a job like this.
It's a reality check. Automating the messy, rule-filled parts of the real world is much harder than it looks. This benchmark isn't about showing that AI is bad, it's about creating a realistic way to measure progress and highlight where the biggest weaknesses are.
Exactly. The paper is a call to caution. It shows the very real risks, clinical, financial, and regulatory, of deploying these agents before they're ready. Xbench is a stress test, and right now the AIs are failing. Before we let an AI handle our healthcare, we need to be sure it can pass the exam.